Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 4070 Ti in Assassin's Creed Mirage. This one is the Palit Gamerock Midnight Kaleidoscope version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU Z. Recessable bar is also enabled. It has 12 gigs of GDDR6X memory, and over on the left, we're pairing it with the i5-13600K with the E-cores disabled. I had to disable those to avoid stuttering issues, and now the gameplay is buttery smooth. So we got 6 cores and 12 threads, and I overclocked the CPU to 5.6 GHz. We're also pairing it with 32 GB of DDR5 6000 MHz RAM in dual channel, and let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, first up, let's go over the settings. I'm starting at 1080p. We're also going to test 1440p 4K and 8K resolution at the end of this video, and we're using the ultra high settings preset. I just disabled motion blur and the adaptive quality right here, so we're at native resolution. Using TAA at the moment. We're also going to test some DLSS, and let's go. Okay, here we have it, guys. GPU usage is actually maxed out, but it won't stay there all of the time because, well, the little i5 without the E-cores, and with the E-cores as well, I guess, is a little bit of a bottleneck for the 4070 Ti at 1080p resolution in this particular title. Now, good thing is, oh boy, okay, wait, let me just kill this guy. There we go. Come on, good stuff. Yeah, the animations are still exactly the same as previous Assassin's Creed games, actually. Oh, hello. Nice. I didn't die there. All right, let's keep on going here. This is one of the most intensive areas that I've come across so far in the middle of the round city, and it's getting 140 plus frames per second here still, so it's a little bit less intensive for the CPU to handle, apparently, than up on top of rooftops and stuff. So we end up getting a little bit more FPS than up there looking at the city. Now, this is pretty good performance, even though we have a slight CPU bottleneck here. It doesn't really matter, you know, like it's still well above 100 frames per second all of the time. It's a buttery smooth experience. I'm actually using high refresh rate right now on my capture card, which works at 1080p resolution, not at higher resolutions, unfortunately. And yeah, I can feel those frames. It is a buttery smooth experience. But before I disabled the E-cores on the BIOS, it was a terrible experience. It was stuttering quite a lot, not as much as the ARC A770 right here that I tested yesterday, but it was still kind of a horrible experience, you know. Disabling those E-cores completely fixed it for me, and I've seen a lot of people who had the same problem, and disabling E-cores also worked for them. But I've also seen a couple of people who claim that they disabled the E-cores and it didn't stop stuttering. So please, Ubisoft, just get down to the bottom of the problem, fix it for people so they don't need to sacrifice some of the cores on their CPUs to be able to enjoy the game and have a smooth experience. Anyway, with that said, I think that's enough for 1080p resolutions. Very easy to run for the 4070 Ti indeed, and the GPU itself, it does a great job here at this res, of course. Now, I'm going to try it with the DLSS set to quality, which won't really make a difference whatsoever to our FPS because we were already CPU bound. But this looks very similar to native resolution, and of course, with lower GPU utilization right now and DLSS enabled, the graphics card ends up consuming a little bit less power. So you might want to utilize some DLSS at the same time, even though it doesn't really improve your FPS like at all. Also, those little stutters that we're seeing right now is just because I applied DLSS. It usually stutters for a few seconds after I do that, but then it smooths out and it's going to be a buttery smooth experience once again. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too long here with DLSS at 1080p resolution. Just going to see the view here from above, and that's because we are CPU bound and we are going to end up with pretty much the same FPS as native resolution. You can also enable DLSS on native, which I feel like is just DLAA, I guess, you know? So you can have the upscaling part of DLSS enabled, but at native resolution, making things supposedly look slightly better, slightly more detail and stuff like that. And apparently, compared to TAA enabled, it's getting exactly the same GPU utilizations, you know? Sometimes it goes up to 90%, other times it goes down to 80-something%. It might actually be slightly less intensive than TAA native here. and it looks kind of the same, you know. I can't really tell much of a difference. Again, if it is actually working like DLAA, it will have slightly more detail in some areas, but it's very hard to tell, obviously, because we're comparing native res to slightly upscaled. So just pick whatever you want. I would probably pick DLSS with native res, but TAA also looked extremely good to me in this game, so there you go. Now we're up to 2560 by 1440 resolution using the same ultra high settings, TAA native, and let's see how it looks. All right, pretty damn good. Now we're finally fully GPU bound here at the native 1440p res, and it looks fantastic once again, my friends. Way better than 1080p in this one. I just wish we could get rid of the chromatic aberration in this game, which looks pretty rough to my eyes at least. I don't like it, but that could also be because I am using a 42-inch monitor, so I can notice those things a little bit more. But still, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the chromatic aberration. I think it was the top comment in a Reddit thread about the state of the game and so on. So yeah, just Ubisoft, fix the stuttering issues on Intel CPUs and please remove chromatic aberration or allow us to toggle it on or off. Anyway, over here it's pretty intensive as well. It has a lot of vegetation around us, as you can see. Still in the 120s, so this is still gonna be a really smooth experience, guys. Also, I'm gonna do a little bit of a visual comparison here. Maybe look in this direction because we have some shadows and some trees. Between TAA and DLSS native, okay? Because again, we already know that they will get exactly the same FPS, but I'm kind of curious to see if I can tell a little bit of a difference here. Yeah, you know what? TAA might be slightly sharper. Maybe because the sharpening filter does a bit better of a job with TAA, I don't know. You can also adjust it and increase the sharpness here with DLSS native. But yeah, I guess I will stick to TAA. It looks pretty good to me. And again, you get exactly the same FPS with DLSS native, so if you prefer that, you can expect the same frames. Start counting the FPS once again. I think with DLSS quality at 1440p, we might actually... Oh, this is a bad one. This is a strong boy, strong boy. He killed me. Okay. As I was saying, I think with DLSS quality, things will be CPU bound once again, my friends. Also, the water effects are very intensive in this game as well, dropping into the 100s, like lower 100s at times, or 109. That's not too low, but yeah. The point is, like, on a high refresh rate 1440p monitor, which is what I mainly recommend for a 4070 Ti, it is gonna perform amazingly. And look at that GPU utilization, it actually fluctuates slightly, going down to the low 90% range at times. Okay, interesting, very interesting. Well, that said, I think with the 13700K you might get like 5 more FPS on average or so. 13900K, same thing with the E-cores disabled, of course. But it's not going to be a night and day difference, you know. If you have a 13600K, it's still very good, as you can see, for this title. It runs absolutely fine, doesn't get maxed out even without the E-cores enabled, so 6 cores and 12 threads are definitely enough for Assassin's Creed Mirage. And yeah, if you overclock the CPU, it's gonna be maxing out the 4070 Ti most of the time here, okay? Alright, that's enough of native resolution. I set it to DLSS quality, and of course, once again, we will be fully CPU bound. Actually, we might get only slightly more frames per second than native resolution with TAA stuff. Yeah, you can see CPU utilization is still at around 70%. GPU usage is also at 70 to 80% most of the time. So it's probably not worth utilizing DLSS in this one, unless you want that little bit lower power utilization, which is also a bonus. But for that, I just lock it to 120 frames per second, for example, or a little bit lower than that, maybe 110, 100 FPS, and play with the native resolution anyways. It's getting really, really CPU intensive right here in this area. Lots of NPCs around. Lots of buildings, lots of vegetation as well. Yeah, it's dropping FPS like crazy. Now back into the 120s. All right, Gonna stop it there. It's pretty much the same thing as we've seen. Let's bump it up to 4K and remove all CPU bottlenecks finally, okay? Here we have it, 3840 by 2160 is now the resolution, still using the ultra high settings, TAA set to native first, and please get me 60 plus. Yes, it can get 60 plus at 4K resolution, well above 60 guys. Touching 80 frames per second here. That's really good. I like it. I really like it, guys. Oh, yes. Oh, the guards are after us now. Let's keep on going here. Oh, this is great. It's a really awesome 4K experience with the 4070 Ti. It's not going to be super high refresh rate, of course, but if you have a 4K monitor with a card like this, which is not too unrealistic, you know, the card performs like a 3090 Ti after all, just with half of the VRAM amount, 12 gigs, 24 on the 3090 Ti. So, of course, it will do a decent job at 4K resolution in a lot of titles. Just that the newer games that we've been seeing in 2023 are so intensive on the GPUs with that ray tracing and stuff, the nanite from Unreal Engine 5, that a lot of people, including myself, were doubting the 4K capabilities of these cards. You know, 4070 and 4070 Ti. But here in Assassin's Creed Mirage, since the game is well optimized and, well, the engine is old and it kind of looks like Valhalla as well, maybe slightly worse than Valhalla because of the setting, I guess, you can have that 4K maxed out experience absolutely fine. Alright, seeing a little bit more vegetation around here, still only dropping into the 70s. So a couple of little stutters right there, by the way, probably loading something, I don't know. Oh, and another one. Oh, and another one. The stutters are back. Oh no. Again, it's just probably loading this area of the game. We haven't been here yet, so it's okay. Also, I'm surprised to see that it's not dropping too much with all of this water on screen. Oh, and that water right there, like, it looks pretty bad, actually. Let me just take a look at DLSS native instead of TAA native. Can it reconstruct the water a little bit better? No, it's exactly the same thing. It's really noisy for some reason. Okay. And of course, FPS are also exactly the same. Alright then, let's set DLSS to quality, which at 4K is a really good idea. I usually play games at 4K resolution with DLSS quality enabled, because it does a great job of looking basically the same as native resolution, and giving us those extra few FPS. In this case, around like 20 frames per second more than it was before, which is a big difference, especially on a high refresh rate 4K monitor as well. Also, VRAM usage is totally under control. It's been totally under control throughout this video, even at 4K max settings and native resolution. It was absolutely fine. The 12 gigs are enough for these textures. I still don't think, again, that the textures are very good looking, like especially these textures on the plants and stuff. Yeah. Some of them are pretty rough, actually. I think Valhalla had some better textures in terms of, like, trees and vegetation. But, well, guys, there is no need for you to drop the DLSS setting to balanced. On balanced, you can actually start telling a little bit of a difference, a little bit of pixelation or noise effects or, like, fuzziness around some things. And here on quality, it just looks exactly the same. It's really, really good looking in this game, the upscalers. And that's for all of them. FSR2 on quality also looks really good in Assassin's Creed Mirage. XeSS as well on quality, and it usually has an ultra quality preset, but XeSS on quality does look pretty damn good here. And well, you can enjoy a somewhat high refresh rate experience even at 4K resolution in Assassin's Creed Mirage with a 4070 Ti. That's pretty damn good, guys. Anyway, it's time for us to stop it. 110 frames per second average and 83% lows is extremely nice. And I'm gonna select the 8K resolution now. I actually need to restart the game for that. Here we have it, my friends. 7680 by 4320 is now the resolution using the ultra high settings still, and TAA on native. Alrighty, no, don't get me 20, please, go up. Oh, no, it is actually getting 20s. Oh, more, and less than 20s at times. Also, that's because VRAM is maxed out at this point at 8K resolution. It's at 12 gigabytes of VRAM usage, RAM is at 16 gigs. It's still swapping things from VRAM to RAM, guys. It is still loading in more things and trying to use more of that VRAM, which is not available, of course. So if you want 4K or actually 8K resolution gaming in Assassin's Creed Mirage, I think you'll need a 4090. Even a 4080 shouldn't be enough to max this out at 8K because of the VRAM, you know? Aside from that, the FPS are very meh, you know, like it's not even 30 frames per second. This is a huge resolution, of course. I didn't expect the 4070 Ti to do well here. It is 4 times the 4K resolution after all. But yeah, it's getting cinematic experiences. You could actually like use it for screenshots, for example, if you want that. It gets rid of the noise on the water and stuff. Actually, over here, at least on the shadow that the bridge is casting on top of the water, it is still noisy even at 8K. I guess it's just an effect that they put on top of the water, guys. Maybe to make it slightly less intensive, I don't know. Anyway, DLSS on performance usually runs very well and looks really sharp and detailed still at 8K resolution, even on my 42-inch monitor here, and that is the case indeed in Assassin's Creed Mirage. And now the VRAM usage went down considerably, although the RAM utilization is still up there. I'm gonna restart the game just to reset the memory allocation, and here we have it, back at it. VRAM usage, oh, it's nearly maxed out. Actually, it might be maxed out, and it might have already swapped some things onto the RAM, because usually the RAM usage is at around 10.5 gigabytes in this game, and it's now at 11.5 thousand megabytes. It's not really gigabyte, but anyway. Good thing in Assassin's Creed Mirage is that you won't really stutter because you are running out of VRAM. Even the GT 1030 that I tested earlier, it didn't stutter because of the VRAM usage being too high, and that's a 2 gigabyte GPU. This game asks for 3 gigabytes even at 360p resolution, and yeah, it was still a smooth experience. It was just a 20 FPS experience, but it didn't really stutter too much, which is nice. If you have an 8K monitor, even if you're playing games on a 4090, I really recommend Performance DLSS. There's not really that big of a difference between this and native res. This is well beyond diminishing returns, basically, is what I'm saying here. So that's been it for this one, my friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful to you. Let me know how it's running for you in your systems. Let me know if the eCore fix will also help you with the stuttering issues. And I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.